I've had a tremendous time on this trip. I got to be in the batting cage with Mike Easler, Mike the Hitman Easler. He was a great hitter back in the 1980s, and he played with the Pirates, the Bo Sox, and he finished his career with the Yankees. And so anyway, I got to be in the cage with him, and you know, he was giving me pointers, and unfortunately I didn't get to change my stance the way I wanted to, because I was in there in the cage with him at such a short time. But I've got the video of that, and I want to put that up. But I also will put up my hitting practice that I did before that, and I actually did so much better then than when I was in the cage with Mike. But hey man, anybody would be intimidated being in there with a pro who's a former Yankee, and he was throwing me junk, and naturally I got a little intimidated. But you know, I'm a switch hitter. I hit from both sides, right and left, and I did okay. You know, I didn't embarrass myself, but I know I could have done much better. But I want to change my stance, and I was watching A-Rod last night, and I really want to change my stance more like he's doing, where, you know, it's straight up and down rather than kind of leaning back, kind of like the old 80s style of George Brett and Amos Otis. Those were the guys that influenced me as a hitter back in the 80s. So I've kind of I've always kind of kept that style, but now I want to change it, and I want to more like A-Rod, which, you know, the straight ups, you know, up on your toes. And I noticed A-Rod last night when he rocketed that ball off of forget who it was with the Red Sox. You know, he lifts that front leg pretty high, and then he, you know, it's quick to the ball, hands through the ball, hip motion, you know, bringing the hips at the same time through with your hands. And there's the Bellagio, and then quick to the ball, head down, crack. I mean, he just ripped that ball. I forget who it was off of, but it doesn't matter. His head was down, meets the ball perfectly. And so I want to change my stance to the straight up and down stance instead of leaning back, as I've done for several decades. And so I'm going to try to get into the batting cage, if not tonight, tomorrow night. Just depends on what's shaking tonight. Here's where the old Aladdin used to be, and now it's Planet Hollywood. And this is a big drawing card for the 20-30 something crowd. This is where they all come. And you know, for me, it's like no big whoop. It's okay. I ate at a restaurant in there. I think the first week I was back in town. It was okay. Nothing to get excited about. And this is all new over here. Old Harmon Street. Yeah, lots of memories there. Coming down Harmon Street, back towards, you know. My buddy that owns on-site dental, he moves his, in fact I got a video of that, and I'm going to put that video up. Yeah, here's the old Polo Towers. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. I did that wrong. I said earlier where the amateurs were with the karaokes. It's right here. It's right here by the Polo Towers. This is it. But that Polo Towers, I'm telling you, up there on top, do you see up there on top where it sticks out right up there? That was the coolest place in all of the Strip as far as I'm concerned. And I always wanted to play up there. It was just perfect for what I do as like a jazz duo. I mean, I can do a lot of different styles of music, but if I had my druthers, if I could do anything I want to do, I could either do a jazz single up there or a jazz duo. And I was going to call my agent here in Las Vegas and ask him about the possibilities of that, because that's what I always wanted to do. That was one of the places that I never played here that I always wanted to do. Here's the Hard Rock, here. And Game Wikes. Yeah, it's Game Wikes. It's Game Wikes. Right there. Because we're by the New Yorker. Where all the lawyers are. Right here. It's a New Yorker. It's a New Yorker. You know, really, I needed to go left on Trop. And I'm going to do that if I can. Sneak in here. I don't know if I can or not. I kind of, no. It won't let me. It won't let me in. I wanted to turn left here on Trop. But, now here's a place, in a way I'm glad I didn't, because you can get a better view of it. Here's a place. First of all, here's a little bit of trivia that most people don't know. That this lion here at the MGM was back in the mid-90s. It had an open mouth. It was a completely different lion. And do you know they changed that? Because the Orientals, the Japanese, the Koreans, they were very, very, well, they're very superstitious anyway, but they were very superstitious, and they didn't like the fact that that lion, so they had them take it down, and they put up another lion with its mouth closed. As you notice, that lion has its mouth closed. But what I wanted to say real quickly was Hooters. You see Hooters off in the distance there? Well, that was a place I used to play at, not when it was Hooters. It was called the Hacienda. And they used to bring in, that was a place where, even though we were paid, of course, it was where we would practice in front of a live audience. We didn't care how bad we sounded there. Seriously, we didn't care how bad we sounded. And there were several tunes that really sounded bad. So we didn't practice. We would just perform live and practice on stage, because the place where we played was out there open in the casino in the main floor. And, you know, you'd be right in the middle of a ballad, and somebody to hit a jackpot, and ding, 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 you know, you'd be right in the middle of a really nice, you know, ballad. I used to visit all the very hip places, and then blah, 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 go off, you know, drive you crazy. But anyway, so it's hard to believe for me that the old treasure, that the old, can't even think of the name now. You know where I'm talking about. This right here. It's still going, but it hasn't changed a bit. Excalibur, thank you. Excalibur. It hasn't changed a bit. Mandalay Bay, still here. Luxor, you know, is still here. But we're gonna do a dipsy doodle here, because we're almost right at the very end of this trip, and we're gonna make a Yui here. And by the way, since I'm talking about Yuis, trust me when I tell you, you do not, I repeat, you do not ever, ever, ever want to let your driver's license expire, which I did, being down in Costa Rica most of the year now. And so I'm coming back to Vegas here, and I'm trying to, because it had expired, I had to change everything, and I mean everything. I had to redo everything. So, and they just changed the law like 3 weeks ago that you can't bring in your, it's not good enough. And I even went to the Social Security office, gave them a copy of my Social Security number, which proves I'm in the system. I'm only born and raised here. I'm an American, right? But no, that's not good enough anymore. No, you gotta have your original Social Security card. So I had to wait 7 to 10 days for the card to show up, right? So they finally get the card to show up, and it says senior instead of junior. Then I stand in line 5 hours again to get into the DMV, only to find out that no, can't accept it because on your passport it says junior and not senior.